Some people leave and become memories. You left and became part of me. Years pass quietly like pages in a book. New faces came and went, new roads appeared, but every now and then, without warning, your smile would find me again. I thought time would carry you away. Instead, it carried me back to you. You never left my heart, not for a single day. Even when the seasons changed, even when oceans stood in the way. You never left my heart, though life kept moving on. Somehow your name stayed with me long after you were gone. You probably never noticed the way I looked at you, the way I kept small memories like treasures no one knew. A photograph, a simple conversation, a goodbye I replayed 1,000 times. Maybe first love doesn't disappear, maybe it simply waits for the right moment. You never left my heart, even when I tried to forget. Every road I wandered down led to your silhouette. You never left my heart, and now you're standing here, looking exactly like the dream I've carried all these years. If I could tell my younger self one thing, I'd tell her not to worry, because the girl who couldn't stop smiling, the girl who made her heart race, the girl she never forgot would come back and stay. You never left my heart, not through the distance, not through the years, not through the silence. You never left my heart, and now I finally know some loves are not meant to fade, they're meant to find their way home. I thought I lost you a long time ago, but love had been saving our story all along. We used to sit beside the lake, watching the colors fade away. You'd hold my hand without a word, and somehow that was enough. The water knew every secret, every dream we never said aloud, and every sunset felt like forever back then. But forever is a promise time was never meant to keep. When the lake remembers, will it remember me? Will it keep the echoes of who we like the fading evening light. Will you still find me in the silence of the night? I started losing pieces of myself, names and places slipping away, like photographs left in the rain, blurring slowly day by day. And every morning I became more afraid of the moment I would look at you and not remember why my heart still raced. So I wrote letters for the days I knew I couldn't stay. When the lake remembers, will it remember me? Will it tell your lonely heart what you meant to me? If all my memories drift beyond the shore, promise you'll believe I loved you even more. I didn't leave because I stopped loving you. I left because I couldn't bear the day I'd forget that I do. Some people leave and break your heart. Some people stay and slowly fade apart. I chose the pain of saying goodbye before love lost its name. When the lake remembers and the stars begin to shine, maybe every reflection will carry a piece of mine. And if you sit there where we watch the sky, oh no, I'd never stop loving you, not even when I said goodbye. The lake is quiet now, but sometimes when the wind moves gently across the water, I hope it sounds like me, still whispering your name. I still drive past that empty road where we once stood in the golden glow. You drew a house upon the sand and said someday this would be ours. A little porch, a garden gate, a dog asleep by the fireplace. You smiled and said, we'll grow old here like time itself could wait. We were finally close enough to touch the future we dreamed of. And now there's only the house we never had, the rooms we never painted, the pictures we never hung, the mornings we never woke up to side by side. The life we almost lived still lives inside my mind. the floor plans too. Coffee stains from the day we chose, the color of walls, the shape of windows, the view we'd watch every evening. I never threw away your handwritten notes, little hearts beside your name, because losing them would feel too much like losing you again. We were finally standing at the door of everything we wanted, and now there's only the house we never had, the flowers you imagined still blooming in my head, the laughter in the kitchen that never got to stay, the dreams we built together were taken all away. Sometimes love survives even when the future doesn't. Sometimes forever ends before it ever begins. People tell me time will heal, but time can't build the home we lost. It only teaches me how to carry what remains. The empty rooms inside my heart still whisper your name. And now there's only the house we never had, the family we imagined, the years we never shared. But if there's somewhere beyond these skies, I hope you're waiting on that porch tonight, because every dream that disappeared with you still feels alive whenever I close my eyes. The land is empty, the road is quiet, the seasons come and go, but somewhere in my heart a light stays on. Inside the house we never had. I found your name inside an old notebook, written between the corners of my days. A thousand little moments I never thought I'd lose. Now they're all I have to hold on to. You were the quiet light in every crowded room, the one I always looked for without knowing why. I kept waiting for the perfect moment and watched a lifetime pass me by. If I had said it sooner, would you still be here tonight? Would we be laughing somewhere under the same city lights? I replay every memory, trying to change the ending, but time keeps closing doors that my heart still leaves open. every second I couldn't let you leave. You never knew how many times I almost told you everything. I thought tomorrow would always come and give me one more chance. If I had said it sooner, would your hand still be in mine? Would we have found a future hidden somewhere in time? Now every road I walk leads back to what could have been, and every dream I dream starts with you again. The hardest part isn't losing you, it's knowing you never knew how much I loved you. I still hear your voice in the rain outside, still see your shadow in passing lights, and every what if becomes another wound that never learns to heal. Because some regrets don't fade away, they simply learn to live beside you. If I had said it sooner, maybe nothing would have changed. Maybe fate would have found us just the same. But at least you'd know before the seasons moved on that every beat of my heart had been yours all along. And if there's somewhere where lost words finally arrive, I hope mine reaches you tonight. The rain keeps falling against my window, like all the words I never found the courage to say. If I had said it sooner, you arrived like morning sunlight through curtains I had closed for years. A quiet voice, a gentle kindness, finding places hidden by my fears. For the first time I could see tomorrow without looking away. You gave my broken heart a reason to believe again. But you were the last light I had to lose, the one thing I never wanted to choose. If loving you meant hurting you someday, then walking away became the price I'd pay. You kept asking why I changed, why I built these walls between us. Every answer stayed trapped inside behind a smile I couldn't trust, because some truths are too cruel to place inside the hands you love. So I carried all the darkness by myself, and you were the last light I had to lose, the dream I held when everything was bruised. If staying near would only bring you pain, then leaving you was loving you the same. I let you hate me so you wouldn't have to watch the person I was disappear. Years later, you found my letter folded inside an old wooden drawer. The words I'd hidden for far too long finally reached you after I was gone. And in the silence between each line, you found the goodbye I could never say. You were the last light I had to lose, the only home I never wanted to leave. And if there's mercy somewhere beyond tonight, I hope you know you were the best part of my life, because every step that took me far away was only taken to keep you safe. The rain still falls against the glass, and somewhere beyond the fading stars, I still carry your name like a light. I never stopped loving. We used to dream with the windows open, talking about places we'd someday see. You carried fire inside your heartbeat, and I believed you could change anything. Back then, the world seemed smaller whenever you were next to me. I never imagined the storm we'd become would start inside the one I loved. You were the future I wanted to hold, the reason I stayed when the nights were cold. But sometimes love can't save what's slipping away, and sometimes goodbye is the only way. I watched your laughter turn into silence, watched your kindness fade into scar you try to hide slowly became the rain. And every time I reached for your hand, you felt farther away. I kept hoping love would be enough to bring you back to who you were. You were the future I wanted to hold, the brightest light I had ever known. But some hearts break beyond what words can mend, and some roads lead to an impossible end. The hardest thing I've ever done was letting go while still in love. The hardest thing I've ever done was letting go while still in love. That night you asked me softly, do you still love me now? And for a moment time stood still, like the world was listening somehow. I wanted forever, I wanted one more chance, I wanted the story we never got to have. You were the future I wanted to hold, the dream I carry through every year alone. And if there's somewhere beyond the stars tonight, I hope you know you were loved with all my life. Because every tear, every prayer, every part of me still remembers your name. The rain keeps falling outside my window, and every drop feels like the echo of the goodbye only I could give, and the love I'll never stop carrying. We met again, like nothing changed. The same warm smile, the same old name. Years had passed like drifting clouds, but somehow you still felt like home. The world moved on around our lives, yet every glance still carried yesterday. There were so many things we almost said, but almost never changed a thing. We were the future, we kept postponing the dream we saved for another day, always believing there'd be more time to cross the distance we left behind. Late night meetings, coffee cups, the quiet moments. After everyone left, you'd laugh at understood, and for a second the years disappeared. We stood so close to happiness, yet never reached for it, because life kept asking for one more sacrifice, and we kept saying maybe later. We were the future, we kept postponing a story waiting to finally begin, but every season slipped through our hands while we kept building tomorrow instead. The cruelest goodbye isn't the one you expect, it's the one that arrives before you ever begin. The last note you left behind was folded neatly inside your desk, a promise written in fading ink about a seaside sunset we never saw. And now I carry that unfinished dream like a photograph without an ending. We were the future, we kept postponing the love that waited through all those years, and now the road leads only backward to words we never chose to hear. If I could trade every tomorrow for one more evening by your side, I would, without a second thought. The ocean still remembers the promise we made, and every sunset feels a little quieter without you. The future we kept postponing never came. We used to trace the coastline on a map, dreaming of a town where no one knew our names. A little cafe by the ocean breeze, a quiet life far away from yesterday. Every night you'd smile and say we're almost there, and I'd believe. For the first time the future felt real, close enough to touch. We were almost out, almost free. One more sunrise and you'd be here with me. Suitcases packed, tickets in our hands, standing at the edge of everything we planned. But sometimes forever stops one step too soon and leaves a lonely shadow in an empty room. The train station still remembers the morning light through dusty glass. Two seats waiting by the window, one for me and one that stayed unused. People came and went, the hours disappeared, but I couldn't leave without you, because every dream had your name written across it. We were almost out, almost gone, almost living the life we'd waited on. A little house near the sea, 100 ordinary days that never came to be. The cruelest part isn't losing you, it's knowing we were so close. Years later I found the town, the ocean, the cafe, the view. Everything looked exactly how we imagined. Everything except you. There's an empty chair by the window that nobody ever uses. We were almost out, almost home, almost reaching the place we'd call our own. And every sunset paints the sky with all the colors of a life that passed us by. If dreams survive beyond goodbye, then somewhere you're still sitting across from me tonight. The waves keep rolling against the shore, like they don't know what was lost. And every evening when I lock the cafe door, I still whisper, we were almost out. We spent so many years standing on opposite sides, turning every conversation into another fight. You saw the world differently, I never understood why, but somehow I kept looking for you in every crowd. Maybe even then my heart already knew what my mind refused to say. Sometimes love arrives disguised as resistance. Sometimes home feels unfamiliar at first. We only had one summer evening, one sky painted gold and blue, one night where all the distance vanished, and I finally reached for you. After all those years of almost and not yet, we only had one summer evening, but I'll never forget. The stars were quiet above the hillside, the city lights flickered far below. You leaned your head against my shoulder, and for the first time nothing hurt anymore. No walls between us, no reasons to run, only two hearts finally becoming one. You smiled and whispered, maybe we were always meant to be, and I believed you. We only had one summer evening, one promise carried by the wind, one moment where forever felt possible before the world stepped in. disappeared too fast. I waited a lifetime for one evening with you, and somehow one evening had to last forever. Sometimes I return to that same hillside when the summer air feels just the same. I close my eyes and hear your laughter floating softly through the fading light. And for a moment you're still beside me, watching the stars like nothing ever changed. We only had one summer evening, one chance to hold your hand, one fragile dream that slipped away before it truly began. But every sunset still carries your shadow across the sky, and every summer brings me back to the night. You are mine. The stars still shine above that hillside. The wind still sings the same old tune. And somewhere inside my heart, it's still that summer evening with you. You found me when I was falling, a quiet soul in a restless world. You never asked for perfect answers, you simply stayed and held my hand. Somehow your voice made every fear a little smaller than before. I thought we'd have 1,000 tomorrows to make up for all we lost, but the kindest goodbye was yours. A gentle smile behind the tears. You looked at me like you always did, and told me not to be afraid, even as the night was taking you away. The rain was falling outside the window, soft enough to sound like a song. You rested quietly beside me and whispered words I'll carry forever. You said love isn't measured by how long we stay, it's measured by the hearts we leave behind. And the kindest goodbye was yours. No anger, no regret, only warmth in your fading eyes, trying to comfort me one last time, when you were the one who deserved comforting. How could you still be thinking of me when you were already letting go. Some people leave with unfinished words. Some people leave with shattered dreams. But you left me with a love so pure that even grief feels beautiful. And every rainy evening still carries a piece of you back to me. The kindest goodbye was yours, a final gift wrapped in courage. You taught me that love remains even when hands can no longer hold. And if the stars remember anything, I hope they remember the way you smiled for my sake at the very end. The rain has stopped now, the room is quiet, but sometimes in the silence I still hear you softly saying it's okay. And somehow I believe you. You shared 1,000 mornings in unfamiliar towns, maps folded on the dashboard while the world spun around. You always knew how I took my coffee, and I knew when silence meant you were tired. We never called it love, but somehow it felt like more. Looking back now, I wonder why we were so afraid of what was already there. We already had our forever before we ever gave it a name. We had sunsets and long conversations and all the little things people spend a lifetime chasing. I just didn't know that forever could look so ordinary. You'd leave the porch light on whenever I came home late. Save the last page of every book so we could read it together. You laughed at my bad jokes like they deserved saving, and somehow you made every day feel lighter, like happiness had quietly moved in without asking. Maybe some loves don't arrive suddenly, maybe they grow while we're busy looking elsewhere. We already had our forever hidden inside those years. In every road trip, every rainy evening, every dream we never spoke aloud. And now I give anything to go back and recognize it. The tragedy isn't that I lost you, it's that I realized what you were too late. pages of an old notebook, one sentence written in your handwriting still keeps me awake at night. You were always home to me, and suddenly everything made sense. We already had our forever before the world took you away, before regret learned how to speak in your voice every day. And now every memory feels like proof that the life I wanted was already mine for a little while. The porch light still shines outside the old house, even though nobody needs it anymore. But sometimes when the rain begins to fall, I leave it on for you. We spent years learning how to stay through every goodbye and every mistake. You were the storm I couldn't escape, and somehow the safest place I'd ever known. No matter how far life carried us apart, we always found our way back home. Maybe some hearts are written together long before they understand why. We were happy for one day, one perfect sunrise that didn't fade, one moment where everything felt right. After all the years and all the fights, we finally reached the life we dreamed about. And then the world turned all the lights out. I still remember the way you smiled when you said we made it, like every broken piece of yesterday had finally stopped hurting. For the first time, the future felt real, standing right there in your eyes. We thought forever had finally arrived at our door. We were happy for one day, one golden afternoon that slipped away, one chapter that ended far too soon, like a song cut off before the final note. And now I carry the silence you left behind. If I had known that tomorrow would take you away, I would have held you longer. The flowers from that day still rest inside a drawer. Their colors faded, but not the memories. Sometimes I close my eyes and hear your laughter echoing softly through the years, and for a second you're still here. We were happy for one day, and somehow that day became my whole life. Every smile, every promise, every dream still shines inside that memory. Because some people wait forever to find a love like ours, even if it only lasts Postponing came and took you with it, but it couldn't take what we shared. So every time the sun begins to rise, I whisper thank you for our one day. You still laugh at all the same movies, still tuck your hair behind your ear, still stare outside when it starts raining, just like you did for all those years. The only difference now is when you look at me, you don't know why my eyes fill up. I became a stranger in the story we once wrote together. So I'll tell you the story you no longer remember, about a girl who taught my lonely heart how to beat again, about 1,000 little moments that changed everything, and a love so beautiful I still can't let it end, even if I have to tell it every day. I keep every photograph inside a wooden box, movie tickets, coffee stains, letters we forgot to throw away. Sometimes I show them to you, and you smile like you're meeting us for the first time, while I fall in love with those memories again. Maybe your mind forgot, but sometimes your heart remembers. So I'll tell you the story you no longer remember, the road trips, the midnight talks, the promises beneath the stars. Every chapter, every page, every ordinary miracle we called ours, even if I'm the only one who remembers them now. You forgot that you loved me, but somehow I never forgot a single day, a single day. Tonight we're sitting beside the ocean, the waves sound exactly the same as the night I asked you to stay forever. You look at me and softly ask, was she happy? And I can barely speak when I answer, more than you'll ever know. So I'll tell you the story you no longer remember, again tomorrow and the day after that, because loving you was never something memory alone could keep alive. And if one morning you wake up and remember nothing nothing about us, I'll still choose to stay. The waves keep returning to the shore again and again. Maybe love is something like that, always finding its way back home. Nobody knew the way you looked at me, like you could hear the thoughts I never spoke. Nobody saw the quiet conversations hidden inside the spaces between words. The whole world fell out until you arrived, and somehow silence became enough. Some people spend a lifetime searching for understanding. We found it and paid the price. We build a place where the world can never follow, a small corner of forever hidden from tomorrow, where every scar, every fear, every broken piece belonged. And for a little while I wasn't alone. The ocean knew all our secrets, the cliffs remembered every promise we couldn't keep. You'd sit beside me watching distant lights, and somehow the darkness felt less deep. You were the only person who could look at me and see everything. But some loves burn too brightly for ordinary lives. We build a place where the world can never follow, where names and expectations couldn't reach us anymore, where every goodbye lost its meaning and every wound could finally rest. If only we could have stayed a little longer. You were not the love I lost, you were the home I had to leave. Yeah. That final night, the sea was restless, waves crashing softly against the rocks below. Neither of us cried, neither of us spoke, because some heartbreaks are too deep for language. You simply held my hand, and I understood everything. We built a place where the world could never follow, and though we walked away and never disappeared, it's still alive in every memory, in every dream that visits after midnight. And somewhere beyond distance, beyond time, beyond all the lives we chose, a part of us still remains there waiting. Sometimes when the rain begins to fall and the city falls asleep, I close my eyes and return to the place where the world could never follow. You stood beside me through every dark season, every sleepless night, every war inside my head. You kept believing when I couldn't see it. You held the pieces of a heart I thought was dead. And somehow you called it love while I called it survival. You gave me everything I needed, but I didn't know how to receive it. I was the storm that broke us, the thunder shaking our home apart. You were reaching for me through the rain while I was busy destroying my own heart and yours along the way. Every kind word became a question, every quiet moment turned into a fight. The more you loved me, the more I feared it, like happiness was something I couldn't keep. So I pushed away the only person who ever stayed. Not because I didn't love you, but because I didn't love myself. I was the storm that broke us, the flood that washed our future away. You kept building bridges back to me, and I kept burning them day after day, until there was nothing left to say. The hardest truth I've ever faced is knowing you didn't leave me. I lost you. Years later, I found your letter, folded carefully inside a drawer. The last line still echoes every time the rain begins. I hope one day you learn to be kind to yourself. I was the storm that broke us, but you were the light that never stopped shining. Even after I gave you every reason to walk away, and now I'm standing in the calm that came too late, wishing I could tell you you were right about me all along. The rain still falls against my window, soft and slow, like a memory. And every storm that passes through still sounds a little like my name. We followed us for years. A kitchen full of sunlight, photographs on shelves, the kind of life we used to dream about. For a while, it felt like happiness had finally learned our names. But some old wounds don't disappear just because the world gets better. And the day I became your goodbye wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic. It was one careless moment, one broken line, one decision I can never take back. You walked away and took tomorrow with you. The coffee cup still sits beside the window. Your favorite book still waits on the shelf. Every room remembers your laughter better than I do. On some days, time moved forward, but this house never did. Because every corner still asked me why I let you go. And the day I became your goodbye, I didn't lose you to fate or distance. I lost you to the parts of myself I refuse to face. And that's a pain no passing year can heal. The hardest thing about missing you is knowing you would still be here if I had been better. Sometimes I imagine another version of us, a life where I chose patience instead of fear, a life where I listened instead of shouting, a life where your suitcase never reached the door. But imagination can't rewrite history. And the day I became your goodbye became the longest day of my life. Because every sunrise since then has carried a little piece of regret. You are the best thing that ever happened to me. And somehow I became the reason you had to leave. The rain keeps falling against the rooftop, soft and steady, like an old confession. And every drop still sounds like the words I never should have said. Before you came, the days were empty pages. Morning sunlight never meant a thing. I moved through life like a passing shadow, never stopping long enough to feel anything. Then you arrived with your quiet laughter and taught my heart miracles I didn't know I was waiting for. You were the light I finally learned to love, the reason tomorrow felt worth dreaming of. A little house, a cup of coffee, 1,000 simple things that suddenly became enough. And just when I believed in forever, you were gone. Now your sweater still hangs by the doorway. Your favorite song still lives inside my phone. Sometimes I catch myself turning to tell you something before remembering I'm speaking to the air. And every room still carries your voice like it never left. I thought we'd have so much more time to grow old inside these days. You were the light I finally learned to love, the warmth I found after years of feeling numb. You showed me beauty in the smallest moments, and now I search for you in every rising sun, because every warning still belongs to you. I wasn't afraid of losing my life until I found someone worth living for. The garden you planted blooms every spring. The flowers return exactly on time, but no season has ever brought you back, no matter how long I wait. And that's the kind of grief that never truly leaves. You were the life I finally learned to love, the light that found me when I had almost given up. And though the years keep carrying me forward, a part of my heart still sits beside you, thanking you for teaching me what happiness felt like before you had to go. The sun still rises, the world keeps turning, and somehow I keep breathing too. But every beautiful thing I see now reminds me of you. We found each other in the middle of the wreckage, two tired souls trying to survive. You knew the parts of me I tried to hide, and somehow you never looked away. For a while that felt like enough to build a life upon, but love alone cannot always keep. two people standing still. Some people are meant to be remembered, not held forever, not promised tomorrow, just carried softly through the years like a song. You never stop loving, even after it ends. We spent our nights talking beneath the stars about the people we used to be, and all the versions we still hope to become. Before the morning came, you were my shelter during the storm, but shelters aren't always homes, and sometimes the bravest thing love can do is let go. Some people are meant to be remembered, like summer evenings that disappear too soon, like old photographs fading at the edges, yet somehow growing more beautiful with time. I don't miss you because I lost you. I miss you because you changed me. That final night, the city lights below us looked like constellations scattered across the earth. You asked if this is goodbye, and neither of us finished the sentence because we already knew. Some people are meant to be remembered, not as heartbreak, not as regret, but as proof that love existed and mattered and left us better than before. So if our paths never cross again, know that a part of me will always be grateful you were here. The stars still shine above that rooftop, the same way they did that night. And somewhere between memory and goodbye, you'll always live